It all just happened so fast.
Yes, it did.
This just feels so right. That looks fantastic.
We're always happy to help. Thanks for calling.
And we're back with Tamsin Fidel, attorney Vikki Ziegler, and author Avery Corman. We're talking about After Divorce, The New Beginning, and Tamsin's new book, Single.
The new single.
The new single. The new single, and Avery, of course, the author of Kramer versus Kramer. And Vikki is on Bravo, Untying the Knot, second season. Author Avery Corman. We're talking about After Divorce, The New Beginning, and Tamsin's new book, Single.
The new single.
The new single. The new single, and Avery, of course, the author of Kramer versus Kramer. And Vikki is on Bravo, Untying the Knot, second season this fall. Before the break, I had to ask you the question. Kramer versus Kramer was a novel. Tamsin's book is about her real-life experiences. Yours were not. Where did it all come from?
Well, since we've known each other a long time, and you were kind enough to mention my memoir, which is about my years growing up, I'm here to tell you I was never divorced, but my parents were. And that was a shocking thing in those days. My old neighborhood remembered as about a period of time when nobody got divorced. So
Back in the Bronx? Never.
Never.
In the 50s,
so,
no.
but my parents were divorced. So the rosebud of my story is I'm really the child in Kramer versus Kramer.
You're Billy.
I'm Billy, not Ted. And that's the secret. I've never said that publicly, although I've written about it recently. But it's exclusive to you, Marvin, given our long period of time. Nobody ever figures it out. Once, many years ago, children write letters to authors, and a girl wrote me from the Midwest and said, I liked your book very much. And then they picked something from the book to show you they read it. I especially liked the part, and it's probably on page 112.
So did you get
and
caught in that conundrum?
This little girl wrote, I have one question to ask you. Were your parents divorced?
Wow.
And I thought that was so insightful. I wrote back to her and I said, you're a very smart young woman. Yes, they were.
And you were caught in that conundrum, that whole episode that we
I
saw?
wasn't caught in a custody battle, but I was caught up in what the ramifications of divorce can be. And when I was an adult, I stayed away from the subject for a while. This is actually my third novel, and I had become a father myself, and I decided I was going to write about it. I was going to write about the ramifications of divorce. But my entryway into the material was not because I was divorced. People always assumed that I had been, and I never was.
But that would be an assumption of someone who writes. You're writing about your own life
People were getting that wrong.
You know.
People were getting that wrong all of the time. It's fiction. I made it up.
The interesting part, though, is that, you know, so many people didn't talk about it for so long, and even to this day, all these years later, when I had, you know, decided I wanted to write the book, some people said it's just such a negative topic, and I think that that's why I tried to focus on it not being such a negative topic, but a, you know, a re-identify and figure out and reinvent who you are. And I think that's so important. We're seeing more and more of it on television now, obviously not just in movies, but also in television shows, in Vikki's show, and also scripted shows too. Girlfriend's Guide to Divorce is also on Bravo, talking about what people are really going through.
It's so true.
The big dark secret of 36 years coming out of PIX 11 News Close-Up.
That's good journalism, I have
Thank you,
to tell
Avery.
you.
It's really incredible.
Tamsin, I have to, you know, different generations
Sure.
here. You've seen Kramer versus Kramer, and we know what you have gone through, and we know more through your book. How, looking back at what Avery wrote and what you've experienced, any message, anything you learned from that?
Well, I think what's interesting is you said you didn't go through a custody battle, but you did go through an emotional battle.
Yes.
And that's really, you know, that's the same thing. And that is what I think everybody goes through, and you don't realize, you know, when it's going to begin and when it's going to end. But getting through that and figuring out how to get from, you know, where the demise all begins to where you kind of figure out who you are again is critical. So I think we all go through that one way or another, whether children are involved or they're not.
Vikki, the figures are staggering. One
Yeah.
out of every 2 marriages end in divorce, and you told me 62% that's the first marriages.
Correct.
62% of second marriages end in divorce. Why is the divorce rate so high?
Recidivism. I think people aren't looking in the mirror and saying, listen, I have culpability in a marriage that did not work out well. And I think people have to work on themselves. I also think they're attracted to the same type of people, and things don't change. If you're both not good for each other, whether it's Johnny or Jimmy, it's not going to matter. So I think people have to look in the mirror. They have to do their self-work. Many people rebound, get married, get divorced, and jump into a relationship. And they don't have time to breathe. They really don't have time to kind of do that cathartic change that Tamsin talks about in her book, and what she really did, to take time for yourself and travel and figure out what went wrong and make it right. And for me, the societal overview of divorce has always been positive. For me, it was the worst thing in my life to see my parents as an only child get divorced, but I took it in a career fashion to say, I know I can help people get on to the next step in their lives, open a new chapter, be better, and actually find true love and healthy love instead of being in a horrible relationship and stuck, and then show the next generation, their children, what bad love looks like. We don't want that. And for my parents, I always said, well, did you think we should have gotten divorced when you were 11, or should we have waited or not waited? And I always said, you know what, when you know what an unhealthy relationship looks like, you don't know what to model because you're not sure. And that takes time to work on it for yourself. So I think everybody today, divorce is not the D word. It's not a dirty word. It's a fact of life. It's part of our society. And you know what? I think I wrote a book called The Premarital Planner, and what I talk about is how to keep people in healthy relationships to build strong marital foundations. That's what I think we're missing in this country, and I think if more people learned about those kinds of things, then we maybe wouldn't have such a high divorce rate.
All very true, all very interesting. Tamsin, you talk in your book about so many women, repetitive mistakes.
Yeah, there's no question at all. I mean, they do the same thing over and over again. When you're just going ahead to look for the next relationship instead of coming back and figuring out who you are, you're going to make those same toxic missteps over and over again. And I think, the title, the new single, was really more about a group of people that, we've become when we go out of a relationship. They're a group of women, in this case, that are the new single. They've got their career together, or they're working on, their family, but they don't have everything together, and they make those mistakes over and over again, and they wind up with the same person, the same pattern, and then the rate of divorces with second marriages is even higher.
It was the highest grossing film in 1979. How do you feel people today would receive Kramer versus Kramer if it were re-released?
Well, it's still selling. I mean, it's still out there.
You still get it
selling.
online and Netflix, wherever.
Yeah, it's ebooks. The book's still selling as an ebook, as a paperback. I wrote a stage adaptation, which was done in several foreign countries, and we were watching it as though it was happening today. So the thoughts in it, the emotions in it, the feelings in it, they go on. The actual things we're talking about, proportionality in custody cases, that's changed. But the breakup and the pain of a breakup and the ramifications of a breakup, those are constant.
How many books, may I ask?
I don't know. A lot.
Worldwide?
Yes, worldwide. I've got a bookshelf of foreign editions. Yeah, it was an international phenomenon, if you can call it that. I've got a whole stack of foreign editions of Kramer versus Kramer.
Jump forward 36 years. What would the message be there today from the message you conveyed in 1979?
Get therapy, see a marriage counselor.
Tamsin?
Same thing. I am
And counselor.
Attend therapy, have a life coach on your phone, your cell phone on speed dial, and ensure that you're working every single day on yourself and your marriage.
And don't
All right. Intriguing and wonderful discussion. Thank you all. Vikki Ziegler, matrimonial attorney, and look for your second season, Untying the Knot, on Bravo. You're filming that now. Tamsin Fidel, best of luck with the new single, which is available online and in bookstores. And Avery Corman, good to see you and have you back on our program. And you now have the new book, My Old Neighborhood. It's also My Old Neighborhood. Yes. My Old Neighborhood, Remembered, a memoir of growing up in the Bronx in the 40s and 50s. That's also available on Amazon.com. Thank you all for this wonderful discussion. And that'll do it for our program for this week. If you have any comments or wish to see the broadcast again, log on to our website, pix11.com/newscloseup. I'm Marvin Scott. Thanks for joining us. Have a good Sunday.